All right. All right, how's everybody doing? Free Your Mind Friday. So, I was going to talk about self improvement, and I had already decided I was going to do that last week, but I decided to talk about self improvement versus self improvement. Kind of funny title there, but I'll tell you why. So, this specific book right here, Lifeonaire, I've seen it pop up on multiple folks' Facebook pages, and someone I respect, Dan Zatofsky, a lot, talks a lot about this book, and just the concepts in general. And I got the book, and I got it over New Year's weekend, and I read the entire book in one day. I just couldn't put it down. But what it's really kind of done for me is it's flipped my mindset. But more than anything, it has started to make me question what I'm currently doing. And really, I had to take a step back because it was a lot of information to digest at one time. And I had to think about it. And as I started to think about it, this other topic, kept coming up in my head, which was, what is self-improvement anyway? And I started to really kind of steamroll towards why is my mind going this way? And I think it's because I'm conflicted in some deep beliefs that I had, and then reading this book. So I started to think about, where did I get these deep beliefs? And a lot of them were from other self-improvement books. So the biggest part of this, and the reason I have self-improvement versus self-improvement, is because I don't know if other folks feel this way, but I kind of, when you read things in a self-improvement book, especially if they're coming from someone who has a track record and is well respected in the industry, I don't want to say I tend to take them as truths, facts, right? So when you say things like, if you follow these four, training tips, your life is going to be like this. Follow this. In Lifeonaire, and I'm going to keep going back to Lifeonaire because that's really where this is driving it. I'm going to share the main, battle that I'm having right now. So there's two different mindsets on this, and I've gone back and forth between the two. The first one is your house, investments in general, rental properties. Having a mortgage on them is a good thing because equity in your house that's sitting there unused earns 0%. Heck, I heard that, and I love repeating it. And also, if you're doing rental properties, to have no money in because you're financing a rental property, seem to make a lot of sense to me. So here's where Lifeonaire turns that on its head, right? So it has been drilled into our head, the American dream and home ownership and things like that. And there's a lot of stuff going back and forth about home ownership versus renting. Grant Cardone's another guy I like to listen to, and he's big on renting and not owning. If you get your money right, you get your cash flow going. Who really cares if you own your house if you've got a lot of cash flow going on? And I can see that. I can absolutely see where that's makes some sense. But in Lifeonaire, it's really about the debt and the weight that the debt has on you, and the way they spin and talk about the debt from a deeper mindset, right? And really kind of take it back to what it really is when it first started out. It's kind of servitude, and they use the slavery term, I guess, to say that you're an indentured servant to pay off a debt. And they kind of take that to, when you take a mortgage out on your house, you are giving away life because you're trading time for money to pay for that house, right? The most part, for folks that have jobs, for folks that don't, hell, even if you're running a business, you're really trading time for money, unless you figured out a way to do it passively. which is another discussion. So this is the back and forth and the trouble that I'm having myself right now. Especially, I get it with the house. I can look at that and say to myself, you know what? There's a lot of truth to that. If you cut down your personal expenses, your personal debts, you have a much better chance of doing the things you want to do in life. You have more freedom, right? What is financial freedom? Financial freedom, I'll throw the definitions out there, right? So this is the facts, truths given by the experts out there, the so-called experts, and financial freedom in its purest sense, I guess, is when you have enough income to pay for your debts. And I'll say it's passive income, because if you have job income, you have to go to that job. If you have passive income, you don't really have to do anything. If it pays for your debts, then you have financial freedom. The question then becomes, if your passive income is rental properties and you have mortgages on them, are you really financially free? And that's the question that Lifeonaire really asks, right? Because if your tenants leave, you have gaps and you have vacancies, the bills don't stop coming in. The mortgage is still owed whether you're collecting rent or not. And the big thing with the rental properties is, and it's always preached out there, well, you're not actually paying the mortgage, the tenants are, and you're kind of arbitraging the difference, right? So if the mortgage is $400 and you're collecting $800 worth of rent, that has always been, preached as, well, that's a good thing. You have a cash flowing property, you're arbitraging the difference. In Lifeonaire, they say, why not, when you make investments, make them with your own cash and you have no debt tied to the property or whatever the investment is that you're investing in. There's no debt, so the cash flow is all yours. So this is a tough thing to wrap your head around, and it's definitely hard for me as someone who's running a mortgage note business, but also has rental properties in play, and I'm looking at these things and I'm saying to myself, well, we've got investor capital into this deal. I take a mortgage out on this investment property, take that cash back out, and that property is cash flowing very nicely even with the mortgage. So we're arbitraging the difference. So it's got me thinking a lot. Now, I don't want to get too in the weeds on this, but and I know this is kind of Dan Zatowski's model here with the if you have a rental property, you get good property management in, and you hold that rental property. I'll compare it to notes, right? So you kind of season the rental property. You have a tenant in there, and it's a rented property, and you don't have a mortgage on it, and then you go and sell that property and carry back the note yourself. And take a down payment that gets you, out of having any money in that property, and then you're just carrying the note on the property, so you're not really, tied to the property from a debt standpoint. So that I get, but what I think this all drills down to, and this is kind of where I want to end it, is that it's been a journey for me, self-improvement, and I do believe that self-improvement is a personal journey for each person. You have to play with things, look at things, read a lot of books, try a lot of different techniques. Talk to your mentors, talk to other folks that are doing things, and find out what works for you, and really what kind of hits you in the gut, hits you inside, and says, you know what, this is the right path. Because when you find that right path, I don't think it's anything that you can find in one particular book. I do believe it to be a journey. I do believe it to be personal, because everyone has their own vision of how they want their life to be. It's not going to be the same and cookie cut for each individual, right? So why should your self-improvement be the same? Why should I read a book and someone else reads a book and we do the exact same thing? The exact same thing, even though we have two different visions for our life. I kind of those are deep questions, and those are questions that you need to ask yourself and think about when you're kind of designing your life and what you want to do. How are you going to get there? So this is a topic gosh, I really want to turn this into a series because I think that it's so deep, and we can drill into it in so many different ways. We can talk about the personal debt side and how you handle that personally. We can talk about the business side and how you handle that from a business standpoint. I think there's so many different ways that you can go on this. I definitely am going to do some writing about this, some more thinking. I do like the Lifeonaire principles. I think the one thing that this book gets, and it gets on a major level, is that whole vision thing isn't a cookie cut thing. It's a push to figure out what your vision is for your life individually. And I don't know of any other thing that I've ever read from a self-improvement standpoint, or any of the things that I've watched on YouTube or just had conversations in general, that really kind of geared that towards the individual and what's very important to them. It's a lot of the stuff is cookie cut, and I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying that in particular, Lifeonaire is making me really think about it. I'm going to be reaching out to some folks about it, definitely Dan, and I will take a good hard look at what we're doing in our life. My wife and I are going to be meeting over the weekend here. We actually have a weekend where we don't have anything in particular going on, and we're going to take a look at our life and what we're doing overall, and figure out where are things working, where are they not, what can we change, and the foundation of those conversations that we're having are based on the things that I've gone through from a personal standpoint of self-improvement, and the things that my wife has gone through as well, and we'll come together, try to find common ground and move our life forward. But I'll end with this, and it's self-improvement is a personal journey. It really is. It's personal to you, and I love talking about it. Free Your Mind Friday in 2017, heck, probably 80 to 90% of it's going to be about some type of self-improvement in some various form. So everyone, thank you for watching. Have a great weekend, and we will catch you next Friday on Free Your Mind Friday. Peace.